Yeah, we get it already. We've been at this 7 times at this point. If you don't get the gist by now, then that's on you, buddy. We're looking at the Leaf Cups. I'm gonna score them. The highest score wins. I've got to do this 2 more times before I do it 1 more time for Mario Kart World. But then even that's not the last one. Whatever, let's just get into it already. Oh my god, Mario Kart DS is last place. This is crazy. If you were shocked by this, like the video. If you weren't, like the video. This one's at least marginally better than the last 2 retro cups for this game, for what it's worth. To start off the cup, we've got a track that's pretty timely. SNES Koopa Beach 2 is fine for what it is, I guess. The Koopa Beach aesthetic has always been one of my favorite themes from Super Mario Kart, so it's good to see the better track out of the 2 be represented in this game. I say better, yeah, it's only like slightly better. I mean, this track is still just a goddamn circle, and if you know me, you know I hate circles! What's the deal with this empty space right before the starting line? It's not like the racers even come close to filling up that area in this game. They could have just covered it up with more moss or blocks or something. And what's the deal with these cheeps bouncing on the water? Why don't they just move over to the less shallow areas of the ocean so they don't suffocate to death? Are they idiots? This one section where you're avoiding the deep pits of water is literally the only interesting part about this track. Everything else is just you going in a circle with moss on the side that you're never going to drive on, and water on the other side that doesn't even slow you down when you hit it. Yeah, there's literally no danger here. It's just a circle. In fact, they actually removed one of the more interesting parts of the course in this version. This shortcut that cut through the literal inside of the track itself. How in the hell did they manage to make a remake with less interesting gameplay than the original Super Mario Kart version? That's honestly impressive. I didn't know you guys had it in you, Mario Kart DS devs. Bravo. Next up, we've got another timely track. Is that just a coincidence or what? N64 Choco Mountain is back already, and this is before it would become one of the most remade tracks in the series, so it still felt fresh here. How come the water is still so bubbly blue in this version? You'd think being surrounded by tons of chocolate and literal boulders of it being flung into the thing that it would have gotten at least a little polluted by now. But no. This track's layout is mostly alright, but at certain points it feels like they've got this high energy music for some really boring straightaways. Also, these boulders are not a threat at all. I mean, it's hard to even try to get hit by these. Not only are they small and too fast, but they can literally just jump over you sometimes. This ending section also just feels unsatisfying. I mean, most ramps in games where you aren't able to trick off of them feel unsatisfying in general. But here I just really wish I was able to trick off of these 3 mounds of chocolate. They feel so unnecessary without that crucial feature. I know I've been mostly negative here, but I really don't hate this track. The atmosphere is still kept intact here, and it is honestly kind of fun to drive around when you're racing on it, so it's not all that bad. Introducing GBA Luigi Circuit. Wait, have I seen this before? Yeah, it's kinda awkward that I gotta talk about this now before I'm able to actually talk about the original version, but I'm just playing the cards I'm dealt here. Anyways, this track is awesome! You just gotta love the unique theming for this seemingly basic circuit track. Like, what is this even supposed to tell us about Luigi? That he's a sad, hopeless man who wallows on a dark, rainy night, longing for a day where things will finally go his way. Yeah, that tracks. Speaking of tracks, this one's pretty fun to drive on. There's plenty of twists and turns here, so you're never spending too long on just a straightaway. And even when there are some, they still place down these precarious puddles you have to avoid, making for a track that's not mind-numbingly easy. I like this item box they put right next to this conveniently placed puddle. It's one of those risk and reward situations that I'm always a fan of in tracks. I wonder how many bucks Luigi spent on this blimp with his image on it. Dude's gotta be stacked! I can't actually say if this one's better or worse than the original since I haven't talked about that version yet, so I'm just gonna put it at no difference. That's probably the accurate label anyways. For the final track, we've got something I kinda wasn't expecting to see in this game. GCN Mushroom Bridge. This track is pretty alright. The vehicles are notable here, but not as overwhelming as something like Toad's Turnpike. They really gotta make this off-road shortcut look different. It seems like something I should easily be able to drive on, with or without mushrooms. The titular Mushroom Bridge was always an iconic set piece, but actually driving through it is like really boring. I mean, there's hardly any obstacles that you have to use your brain to avoid here. That's no problem though. There was always this cool diverging path you could take that boosted you up the bridge itself. So I'll just go over here and what? What? Okay, you gotta be kidding me now. Why do all of these DS remakes just remove cool paths and shortcuts from previous tracks? Why are they so hell-bent on removing anything notably fun that was perfectly fine in the previous versions? What, you couldn't program the cart to drive up the goddamn bridge itself? Is that your excuse? Well, that's a pretty damn faulty one considering, oh, I don't know, Delfino Square exists, which literally has a bridge that moves up and down and you're able to drive on that perfectly fine. But oh no, the neat bridge shortcut that was more risk and reward was just not possible. I swear, every video I find more reasons to hate on Mario Kart DS. Like, I really thought this game was fine and all considering how much the internet overhypes it. But like, hardly any of these tracks convince me that that hype is warranted. I'm sorry y'all, I just don't see it. Yeah, even on the better retro cups for this game, it still manages to be a major disappointment. Maybe this shouldn't have been the game to introduce the concept after all. This cup is lucky it's got Luigi's Circuit, or else it would have been just as terrible as the previous ones. But at least now it gets to sit slightly above them. Alright, hold your horses. Just because this ranking is looking pretty damn similar to the previous ones already doesn't mean squat, believe me. There actually are a few tracks that are pretty good in this cup, but also some that aren't. For the first track, we have, man, I don't even want to say it. Okay, I don't actually hate this track as much as seemingly everyone else does. It's just another case of, seriously? Out of all the DS tracks they decided to bring back in the very next game, they were like, oh yeah, let's have Desert Hills and Yoshi Falls. Yep, great choices, you guys. At least they still kept the cool Mario Bros. 3 theming in this version. It would be such a shame if they were to remake this track and remove the one aspect that made it unique, right? Right, Nintendo? They even made the starting banner actually look serviceable in this version. Thank God. I don't know, man. I still think this track is fine. It's fun at certain sections, like the ending where you just get to go back and forth with your drifting, but at other times, it's not that interesting. It just cannot be overstated how powerful the off-road shortcut at the end is. If you got mushrooms, you need to save it for this section, because it can really come in clutch sometimes. Listen, I'm not one of those to say desert track bad or whatever. There's actually plenty of desert tracks in this series that are a ton of fun, but this one is just in the lower end of those. Okay, I can't lie, this was a great choice. Sure, it's just another GBA Bowser Castle, which were like the only GBA tracks they ever remade in these games for a while. I mean, the only other one that's in this game is Shy Guy Beach, which you already know how I feel about that. And 7 only had Bowser Castle 1 as the GBA track for that game, and 8 launched with only Mario Circuit, which was a good track, but like, that was it! I can't believe how long it took for us to get more of the actually unique course themes that game had. But for now, this one's not a bad substitute. I mean, this specific Bowser Castle already had a unique color palette compared to the other 3 in that game, and I still love how it looks here. This is just a really fun layout to drive on, especially with Wii's controls. I mean, you just gotta love this section where you chain a whole bunch of tricks together. Unbelievably satisfying. I love how much they play around with the item boxes here. They have a lot placed right behind thwomps. They have some jumping up and down from the lava. They have a few just moving side to side. It's pretty unnecessary for them to be this wacky with the placements in this version, but that just makes me appreciate it more. Of course, there is a shortcut here that you can pull off with a mushroom and a really well-placed angle, one that I'm not even gonna attempt. So honestly, I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. The only downside about this version is that they removed Kamek from the ending here, but like, that's still not enough for this to be way better than the original. Even if the layout is virtually unchanged, the way that this specific game controls just suits this track perfectly. Really good track pick on their part. Now for a track that doesn't suit this game's controls perfectly, I mean, what is there to suit? DK's Jungle Parkway manages to weasel its way back into Mario Kart already, and for what reason? I mean, this map looks like something I would have scribbled when I was 4. This track isn't the least interesting out there, but it certainly ain't anywhere near the most either. I mean, in terms of just DK tracks, this is like probably the worst one. I think DK passes it by just a smidge. It's not like it's that bad to drive on though. I honestly do like this big turn that goes into the pseudo cannon, and you can really mess with your opponents on this tight bridge with the right items. Still though, it's really not all that special. They made this turn after you exit the cannon a lot wider now so you can just drift out of it. I always thought it was unique how you basically had to brake and then turn to stay on the road in the N64 version. A bit of a shame here. Not only that though, they also removed the goddamn spiky coconut looking things that got flung at you from the trees in this version. Why do they just love removing unique features now all of a sudden? It's not even like they did much, but it was just that added bit of charm that really didn't need to be removed in this version. They also made the cave not look like the Great Mighty Pooh anymore. Woke Nintendo strikes yet again. At least they made the water look like orange juice now. See, that's what the Choco Mountain remake from before should have done. Make the water there look like chocolate milk. You know what, forget I said anything. I'm just really not a huge fan of the track in this game. I'd say it's a downgrade from the original, but only slightly. I just feel like the 64 controls and atmosphere fit this track a lot better there than it ever did here. To end off the Leaf Cup, we've got another Mario Circuit. Wow, there's a lot of those in this game. GCN Mario Circuit is, again, an odd choice when there's so many better tracks from Double Dash that could have been here, but it's not exactly a bad choice. I mean, apparently this track was supposed to be remade in Mario Kart DS first, but I'm actually glad it made its way here instead. This might be my favorite looking Mario Circuit out of the whole bunch. The gold plating near the grass, mixed with the vibrant colors and trees that are still alive in this version, thankfully, just makes this version feel more like a set than a natural area they built a racetrack on. This is probably the most Mario looking Mario Circuit of them all, with all the pipes and stars and blue shells. No, not spiny shells. These are actual blue shells right here. I mean, they even wrote out his name in giant letters just so you know for sure who this track belongs to. It's just fun to drive around here and avoid this giant chain chomp that they copy pasted for the Wii Mario Circuit of this game for some reason. Just like that version, there's a massive shortcut you can take right beside the chain chomp with a few mushrooms. Always gotta love those. This bumpy section at the end is so much better than in Double Dash where you just went through it and prayed you didn't hit a Goomba. Now you can actually trick off the bumps and go right past them. Overall, this is definitely one of the better Mario circuits that this series has seen, and I feel like most would agree. This cup actually did manage to have some great tracks within it. It's just a shame they had to be sandwiched in with two mid tracks. I feel like half good and half less than good selections are starting to become a theme with these retro cups. That's definitely not subtle foreshadowing for the next one, so let's just get to it. Well, isn't this a shocking turn of events? See, I told you to hold your horses, and this is why. I'm not just making the same exact ranking every video, trust me. I mean, it was unbelievably close between the first two. There is a world out there where I ranked this one first, a world I tried to prevent. See, now this is a good desert track to start off your Leaf Cup with. N64 Calamari Desert is back and looking pretty nice in this game, honestly. It's kinda crazy how many N64 tracks from the Mushroom Cup specifically they decided to bring back in this game. There's like 3 of them here and they only come from that cup. What an interesting choice. I'm not even gonna talk about these banners anymore. Like, really? Super Mario? Oh man, I really didn't know who that red guy was until I saw this sign. Thanks, Nintendo! Wake me up when they start putting cigarette parodies back on these advertisements. There's actually more changes made here than you'd first think. They've added not only 1, but 2 glider ramps to the track! Dad, believe me, it's not an addiction. Just 1 more glider ramp and I'll quit, I swear! If you have a few mushrooms, you are able to chain these gliders together for a pretty big shortcut. Honestly, despite how funny it is that they spam gliders everywhere in these remakes, these ones are pretty fun to use. There's also just a few regular ramps here they added at the beginning and at this final section here. Pretty small stuff, but it is still cool to have a less flat course now. I found out the hard way that you still can't go on the train tracks in this version, and I did get demolished by this train. Wait, there's 2 of them? Since when were these guys able to afford a second goddamn train that goes in this completely useless loop? Apparently there were always 2 trains, even in the N64 version. I don't know if I knew that and just forgot or what. These ones are a lot smaller though, so they're hardly ever a threat in this remake. You won't need to brake in front of them nearly as much here. I do think this version is better though. I mean, the ramps they added here makes this course a lot more interesting gameplay wise, so this is a pretty good remake. Wow, we're just seeing a whole bunch of timely tracks in this video. DSDK Pass isn't just 4 letters in a word, it's another track that actually is slightly better in this game, but only slightly guys, it is still DK Pass. I still don't see the DK connection at all here, probably the least out of any DK track, but I suppose I am glad he's expanded his horizon somewhat. Man, is it just me or is this intro extremely different than what the actual track looks like? I mean, they made this look so snowy and foggy, and then when you play it, it looks perfectly normal. Well actually, this is because the race starts out foggy on the first lap, but over time gets more and more clear as you reach the end. This is something I didn't even notice at all when I was racing, and it's honestly a really cool detail. Once again, there are a few new changes here, like these ramps they added to the ending section. Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. And this glider ramp they added to the very last jump. Okay, pattern officially spotted! The Mario Kart 7 devs love adding ramps, regular or glider, to literally any remake they can. I can't say they're wrong for it though. I mean, why not have these ramps to make this ending section a bit more interesting? And this big jump, it does make sense for a glider, I'll give it to them. They kept the shortcut item box in this version, just in case you were wondering. Man, these snowmen have really gotten nerfed over the years, huh? I mean, on the N64 they used to obliterate you, on the DS they used to destroy you, but here they just, okay, wow, they still do destroy you. I don't know why, but I thought these guys just didn't harm you in this version. I guess I'm wrong. This is another case where I'd say it's an upgrade, but only slightly. This track is still just alright in my eyes. Oh yeah, now this is the kind of track I want to see. GCN Daisy Cruiser is one of those tracks that just makes you feel good whenever you race on it, you know? The changes they made here are pretty notable too. Like them changing this whole pool that used to kill you in the original into this pool that you can just drive through. Wait, what's the point of this? The whole reason for this thing's existence before was that you had to avoid going into it, and now they just made the obstacle not an obstacle? That makes this tiny little section less fun now that you basically just have to go straight. I guess if you go the original way, you do get a few coins, and yes, it does make sense given you can drive underwater in this game, but this just isn't a change I prefer. The whole dining area is a lot less chaotic in this version than it was previously. It feels slower and more controlled now, which doesn't even really make sense, honestly. I do like how they changed this lower basement type area into a flooded underwater aquarium now. That's an actually good use of the new underwater mechanic, and pretty charming too. I don't think the slight changes are enough to call this a downgrade, honestly. I think this is still the same Daisy Cruiser we all know and love, just in a unique take. No, wait, they took out the lifesaver that was fun to bump into at the end. Yeah, this track's a downgrade. Wait. Hold on a minute. You're telling me that this game, Mario Kart 7, that game right here, has extremely good picks for retro tracks? Well, I never. Wii Maple Treeway is just as beautiful as the day I lost it. Which was never, because this was remade immediately. Bold choice to talk about a fall track in the spring, unfunny. Yeah, you're right, I should have taken 6 months to upload this. There's not many changes here, because, you know, how could you change perfection? Except for the changes that they did make, like these leaf piles giving you coins instead of just nothing now. Honestly, it's about time they gave me a pretty penny. They removed this half pipe that was here, even though I tried so desperately to make it work again. But I guess I just can't have nice things. The biggest change is definitely them removing the bridge that you know the name of into this glider ramp, and I just gotta ask, why? Okay, I know why. It's because you guys have a glider addiction, but like, come on! It was so much fun to do tricks on it before, that's what she said, and you literally already had a glider with that cannon, so why did you need to change this into a short, boring flight? Whatever though, despite this remake removing the glorious bridge from this and all future versions, it's still basically the same track I know and love regardless, and you need to do a lot to change that. Overall, yeah, despite this cup being in second place, it was still pretty good. I mean, Calamari Desert and DK Pass do bring it down a bit. Those are fine enough tracks, but not anything incredible. But Daisy Cruiser and Maple Treeway are two bangers that I'm always down to race on. I guess that means this next cup is gonna be pretty good too, so why don't we go check it out? I can't believe my eyes. My boy has finally earned his first place. I'm so proud of him. And he definitely earned it too. This cup is a really solid lineup of retro courses. I don't think there's a single dud here at all. Up first is Wario Stadium. No, not that Wario Stadium. DS Wario Stadium. Unrelated, but I think it's funny how in the exact game that they introduced retro tracks, they were like, yeah, we should make another track with the exact same name. Like, what? I really love how they spruced this one up. There's a giant Wario statue now, so you know whose stadium this is. There's banners in the background that let you know what video you're watching, and the track itself just looks better than ever. They changed the time of day from nighttime to daytime, although I don't know if I'm just blind, but I never noticed that the original was at night. I could have sworn this was always a daytime track. This is, of course, a Mario Kart 8 remake, so plenty of things have changed here. I mean, just the general gameplay of actually being able to trick off of these ramps now makes this track so much more fun. It's a Waluigi Stadium situation where this remake feels like how it was truly meant to play. Well, maybe not, because they changed this one section where you just avoided these fire bars into this completely different anti-gravity layout where you still avoid those same fire bars. I'd say this was a totally random change just made to add more flair to this already flair-filled racetrack, but honestly, that does seem like the kind of thing Wario would do, so fair game. That ain't the only change here. This ending is now completely flooded for some reason, and they have a glider ramp to finish off too. Wow, they just made this track use every new gimmick, huh? I kinda kinda like how wacky they got with the additions here. Again, it does seem like something Wario would genuinely do, and none of them detract from the track at all, which makes this an easy upgrade. Up next is Sherbet Land. No, not that Sherbet Land, GCN Sherbet Land. Can they really not come up with more than 2 names to describe a track sometimes? I absolutely love the vibes this course exudes now. It's at an even darker time of night now, and with the fireworks and skating Shy Guys nearby, you can really feel that winter wonderland energy here. The rainbow colored snowflakes on top of the starting banner look really pretty too. It's way better than the travesty that was the original starting banner, good lord. This is another one of those tracks that recontextualizes an obstacle from the original and makes it completely different, except unlike the pool in Daisy Cruiser, this is actually a good change. Now instead of the frozen pools of water freezing you to death, you can drive right into them for a completely different path from the main road, and this doesn't just happen once at the beginning, but another time at the end too. I love when a remake is able to take the same exact track and make it feel completely different while still being faithful to the original version. Sure, I guess the ending section is a lot easier now, but I don't really feel like that's such a bad thing. This cave looks gorgeous like the rest of the track, but I do still kinda miss the Aurora Borealis colored ice that used to permeate this section. It just added to that winter wonderland aesthetic. You can see the new Mario Kart characters in the background, which is cool. There's a random glider shortcut over here to the left, and there's still plenty of freezies roaming about. Overall, this is a great remake of a track that was pretty alright before, and I've hardly got many complaints about it. Up next is 3DS Music Park. No, not 3DS Melody Motorway, even though that name is way better. I'm glad they picked one of the more unique track themes from Mario Kart 7 to bring back right away. You can tell they were proud of this idea here. I mean, what's not to love? The Piranha Plants literally bob their heads to the music. This is peak track design right here. Although, to be honest, for a track called Music Park, the music here is something I've never really cared for, honestly. I never see anyone else talking about how this track has their favorite music. But you gotta love the colorful and classical aesthetic they go for here. Driving on pianos, bouncing on drums, trying to avoid colossal music notes, everything a good musician should practice. How come this guy isn't a Mario Kart racer already? I would play as him in a heartbeat. I love how the instruments stop playing whenever the music isn't playing, and the Piranha Plants head bob even faster on the last lap. Just tons of charming details here. The gameplay is pretty much untouched from its original 3DS layout. You can still easily take this ramp without a mushroom, and this drum shortcut is so goddamn satisfying to pull off. It's something I try to do every single lap. This isn't a revolutionary change to the course design or anything, but it is a good track remade to look way better, so I think that counts as an upgrade. For the final track, we have N64 Yoshi Valley. That's right, N64 Yoshi Valley. This is one of the more unique tracks from Mario Kart 64. I mean, before you couldn't even tell which racers were in which positions, but with the power of modern day hardware, we can finally tell once and for all. I mean, it's a lot easier when everyone's going the same way, but still! Yeah, that's one thing I'm not too big a fan of in this version. Despite there being a multitude of paths for any racer to go through, everyone's just gonna go on this bridge path because it's clearly the quickest. The thing is, this is actually how it was like on the N64 version too. Difference is that it was a lot harder to actually make it through there without falling off, making for one of those risk and reward situations you know I like so much. Here though, there's hardly any challenge if there's not many people in your way. There's no real reason to explore any of the map besides this one path, which is kind of a shame. I mean, how many times can you say you've driven into this cannon, which just shoots you all the way back to where the bridge was gonna take you, so it's pretty useless anyways? Or how about this cave section with the swoops flying overhead? Or this other section with a few barrels in the way? I think that one's probably the least seen path of the whole track. With all these different unique routes and paths, it's kind of a shame that the average player is only gonna take the one bridge path anytime they play this. I guess that one random meme I found was pretty accurate after all. I mean, this one's kinda obvious, but they took out the random hedgehogs, I mean porcupines, that were scattered around the land and just replaced them with some Goombas. Woke Nintendo striking back yet again with their Mario mandates. Nah, I don't really care. At least the one path the players do race on is still fun. I love getting an Ultra Turbo right at this U-turn. Of course, you gotta love the giant spinning egg that can genuinely be a nuisance sometimes. And these shortcuts at the end can really be beneficial if you got some shrooms. Overall, I wouldn't actually say this is better or worse than the original. Sure, it looks way better and of course plays excellently, but a lot of the charm of that original version has kind of been lost in translation from the N64, which is a shame, but it doesn't stop this track from still being pretty good. So yeah, the Leaf Cup for this game is pretty great. Again, all of the tracks here are completely solid. This has to be one of the most balanced set of courses I've ever seen in a cup so far. Really impressive stuff here, honestly. I wonder if things will pan out like this next time too. I really don't know what to expect now. So there you go. If you want to know which Mario Kart game has the best Leaf Cup so far, which I'm sure is a question you want answered since birth, then there you go. There's the definitive list. Now no one else on the internet has to answer this arduous question. Oh, aren't I just a hero? There weren't really any god-awful tracks here compared to the last 2 times. I guess the lowest ranked one was Koopa Beach 2, but that one was just boring. I think as these cups progress, the quality of these tracks legit starts to get better, which just makes me wonder what the next set has in store. That's right, next time we're finally going over the Lightning Cups, the very last standard set of courses we've got left to go for this series. It's about damn time we got to the final-ish part of this series, and spoiler alert, but there may be a few more than 16 tracks to talk about here. Ooh. If you didn't tune in this time, which I honestly get, because if it weren't for this series, then who cares? Also, how are you hearing this? Then I really hope you tune in next time, because I feel like it's gonna be a pretty special episode. So in that case, see you next time, racers.